What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my unit review series. This time I'll be reviewing Clarisse, and in this video I will be telling you guys how good she is and what are some of her best skill inheritance options. We will also take a look at some of her best teammates who can support her and counters that you should watch out for when using her. And at the end, I'll also tell you guys if it's worth upgrading her to 5-star or not. So Clarisse is the 11th Grand Hero Battle unit in the game and actually the first colorless unit that we have got from the Grand Hero Battle so far, and we will be taking a look at her 5-star stats. Her HP is a bit on the lower side and it is same as some other archers like George and Setsuna, and her attack is 3rd highest for an archer and she shares the same attack stat as Klein. Her speed is 34 and this is an impressive stat for her as an archer because she is faster than some of the high tier archers like Klein, George and Takumi, and that's her advantage over them. Her defense is average and her resistance stat is below average. Her mediocre bulk will make it hard for you if you want to use her as a debuffer, but her bulk doesn't really matter if you make her into a ranged nuker with Brave Bow Plus. Her weapon is very unique and it is the first debuffing bow in the game, and it is similar to female Corrin's Dark Breath attack, except this weapon is actually ranged and she can be a great ranged debuffer due to this. It inflicts -5 attack and -5 speed to enemies within 2 spaces from her target. Her passive slot B skill is Poison Strike, which lets her get 10 points of passive damage to any enemy that she initiates an attack against, and this is good for her as she's able to do some passive damage and her attack is not very high, so it definitely helps her with her damage output. And her slot C passive skill is Threat and Defense, which is once again a skill that goes very well with her kit because she can make up for her low attack and she can do a lot of damage after the debuff on her opponents with this skill. And Glimmer is her special and it's known for being one of the worst specials in the game due to the fact that how it functions, and it's only really good on Blade Tome users who do a lot of damage already and in Tempest Trials where you face units with insane HP stats. For Clarisse, this isn't really a very good special because of her low attack, and she hardly gets any kind of additional damage out of this special when she actually needs it. I would advise you not to spend any kind of SP on this skill and get her a better special like Luna. So overall, Clarisse is an above average unit who can be on par with some of the high tier archers like Takumi, Klein, George and Setsuna with proper skill inheritance investment. Even without any kind of investment, she is a fantastic support unit and her default kit is pretty good excluding her special. She's a very good free to play unit and she's worth investing in if you lack a good colorless unit on your roster. Now let's take a look at some of her best skill inheritance options. She's got 2 main sets, so let's start with the set that preserves her uniqueness with Clarisse's bow and makes her a really good debuffer. So for slot A, you want to run Fury to give her extra bulk and power so that she can function better as a debuffer and overall reduce the number of losses in her matchup chart. And after the debuff from her bow and with the Fury skill, she can be pretty bulky because the opponent will probably not be able to double her due to -B debuff, and they will do even less damage with -5 attack debuff. However, if you want her to do more damage while debuffing opponent's team, then you can even run Life and Death. And Life and Death 2 can also be run if you cannot afford Life and Death 3, as the difference is pretty marginal. But do keep in mind that having version 3 of his skill does give you more points in arena because of the scoring system. So the costlier a skill is, the more points you get. And if I had to choose a skill from these 2 options, then I would simply go with Fury because of the fact that how well it works with her debuffs. For slot B and slot C, you want to run her default skill, and having her default skills on the set makes this a cheap set SP wise. And for her special, as I've mentioned before, her default Glimmer is not a good special and Luna is a much better special for her from a 4-star Katria or Frederick. You can run Reposition or Drawback as her assist skill, and Reposition is one of the best assist skills in the game that can be used both offensively and defensively, and Drawback is also a pretty good skill on units who do not want to stay on the front lines as they move 1 space back with their teammate and themselves. And with this set, you want to run Speed +1 Sacred Seal. The max cost of this build if you go with Life and Death 3 is 1970 SP, and if you go with the budget option of having Life and Death 2, then the cost of this build is 1670 SP. And it's a relatively cheap build and it does preserve her uniqueness as a unit and turns her into a good support unit who can soften up enemies for your other teammates to pick off. A lot of people might ask me if it's worth running Fire Speed Bow Plus on her or not, and honestly I do not think it's worth it. Bright Cordelia, George and Takumi are much better Fire Speed Bow users due to having higher attack, and Clarisse does a much better job with her default bow by being a debuffer. Her next set is her best set and makes her on par with other high tier archers in the metagame like Takumi, George, Klein and Setsuna, and it's a standard archer set pretty much. And in this metagame, archers are required to run this set if they want to be a ranged nuker, and Brave Bow significantly increases their offensive power. The amazing thing is that Clarisse has got a good speed stat for an archer, so she can definitely make great use of Brave Bow, and many times she can quad attack units because of her speed, and she's obviously nowhere near as good as the current top tier archer, Bright Cordelia, but people forget how Bright Cordelia is gone forever and you cannot even try to get her now. In such conditions, Clarisse can be a great unit if you want to have a ranged nuker on your team. So you definitely want to run Life and Death and Desperation, because Desperation does help her quad attack against tanky slow units, and she's able to kill most of the fast frail units with just 2 hits of her Brave Bow. And her default threat and defense once again goes well with this set, and you do want to run Ardent Sacrifice to have a reliable way of getting into the Desperation range with only one Ardent Sacrifice. And in case you recently ended up getting a 5-star Garden from the Vantage banner, then you can definitely sacrifice that Garden and have yourself a pretty good ranged nuker. And in case you do not want to fodder off any kind of 5-star unit, then a budget build is also possible with Life and Death 2 and Brave Bow from a 4-star Garden or a 4-star Klein. For her Secret Seal, you can either run Attack +1 or Speed +1. Speed +1 lets you quad attack units who have got 30 speed, but Attack +1 lets you kill units who you cannot quad attack against, so it's up to you. And if you go with Life and Death 3 and Brave Bow Plus, then the cost of this build is 2825 SP, and if you go with the budget option of having Brave Bow and Life and Death 2, then the cost of this build is 2075 SP. And if you're thinking of using this build, then I would highly recommend you to train up a 3-star Clarisse to easily get this much SP by the time she ends up being at level 40 as a 5-star unit. And this is the set that she has to run to become on par with other archers in the metagame right now, due to Brave Bow being the best offensive bow. This is her matchup chart with this set, and then here we have the matchup chart for the budget build of Clarisse, in case you were wondering. Now let's move on to some of her teammates. Since Clarisse is a colorless unit, you definitely want to have some Raven Tome counters, and Green Tome Breaker Julia is a fantastic teammate for her who can check both colors, as usually blue and green mages are known to run Raven Tomes. For red mages, only Lilina and Sophia can run the Raven Tome, but they're not really that common in Arena. Clarisse does not have a very high attack, so she definitely appreciates the Hone attack support and even the Hone speed support to quad attack many units with her Brave Bow set. Melee units with bad physical defense can also work well with her debuffing set, because with her bow she's able to lower opponent's attack. So units like Navarre, Anna and Lonku can take advantage of her debuffs, and all of these units I mentioned are also known to have low attack, and they also appreciate the passive Poison Strike damage from Clarisse. Her counters consist of Triangle Adept Raven Tome users, and she can only win versus Bunny Camilla, who runs Raven Tome with Triangle Adept due to the fact that Bunny Camilla is a flyer, and then units like Ryoma, Ike, and Hector, who have got distant counter skill built into their weapon, can live hits from her and easily kill her off. Fury Xander is also another unit that can eat up 4 hits from her and then kill her with Quick Riposte, and Xander is an extremely common unit in Arena on Fire Emblem teams. And now I will be telling you guys if it's worth upgrading Clarisse to 5-star or not. So she's the best free to play colorless unit right now and easily available to everyone. If you have no ranged nukers on your roster, and if you were unlucky to never pull archers like Bright Cordelia, Takumi, George or Klein, then you should definitely upgrade her to 5 stars and invest in her. Also, if you do not have a good colorless unit, then you can upgrade her, because color diversity is always good when it comes to making a team, and she also provides solid utility to your other units with her ranged debuffing bow, and that's also something worth considering. However, there are many reasons why I would suggest you to not upgrade her. If you already have a good ranged nuker like Bright Cordelia or other high tier archers like George, Klein or Tagumi, then there is no reason for you to upgrade her unless you like her as a character. She's also a very expensive unit to build like any other archer, but she's expensive feather wise as well because you will have to spend 20,000 feathers to upgrade her, unlike other high tier archers who you can get as a 5-star unit. Also, she is just an above average unit, and we have got some pretty impressive units like Xander and Camus recently, so it's not like she's gonna carry your team like Xander or Camus. Even Legion that we got on the last Grand Hero battle is a very good unit who can outclass units like Raven, Camilla and Anna. And if you have not upgraded Anna or Sharina, then I would highly recommend you to upgrade them because they are in rotation for the bonus units in Arena, and it's just free and easy arena points for you if you have them at 5 stars. Both of these units have got excellent signature weapons as well. While Xander and Camus are some of the best free-to-play units that we have got and can often carry your team due to the fact that they have got a massive reach on the map due to being a horse unit, and they both have distant counter skill built into their weapons, so they can be really good units to have. And I might sound crazy, but I think that next month we might get Shadows of Valentia Grand Hero battle units, Berkut and Fernand to be precise. If you guys do not know, in Shadows of Valentia, Berkut has got his signature lance, which is a ranged lance just like Camus's Gradivis, and in-game Berkut is an insanely bulky unit on many occasions when you face him. This is not confirmed at all, and I'm simply trying to predict what Grand Hero battle units they might release next, so saving feathers and waiting to see if they release better Grand Hero battle unit is also an option. I personally am not going to be upgrading my Clarisse to 5 stars simply because of the fact that I've got all other high tier archers and the Bright Cordelia, and other than her bow, she does not really bring anything new to the table. So that's going to conclude my unit review of Clarisse. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like as it really helps me a lot, and share this video with all your friends who play Fire Emblem Heroes. So with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.
Fight for my friends, fight for my friends, fight for my friends, fight for my friends. I fight for my friends.